The Bible is the most amazing book in the world. It was written by at least 35 different authors, but it manages to connect seamlessly, predict future events, and teach us important and consistent lessons. And that's because although these writers were different people, they were all inspired by one, and that's God, the true author of the Bible. Because it was inspired by God and written in His wisdom, it contains so many deep layers beneath a surface level reading that we can't ever begin to uncover them all. But it is our job to try. So when should we look deeper into the Bible and take literal words as symbols to teach us lessons? Well, here's a few tips that you can use to try and see when the Bible is using symbolism. The rule of thumb we want to use is that we should read everything literally in the Bible and take it at face value. God had it written this way, so we should read it that way. But there are a few exceptions to this rule, where symbols are trying to be conveyed to us by God. The first exception is if the Bible specifically states that what we're reading is a parable, a proverb, or something to be taken figuratively and not literally. For example, in the very confusing book of Revelation, in the very first verse, we are told that it is revelation to us to signify future events. The second exception is similar to the first, and is to look for symbolism when the Bible says something is a dream or a vision. Most of the time, even our own dreams are pretty crazy, and we don't take them literally. But the difference between our dreams and those in the Bible is that those in the Bible were sent by God. And so they are to be taken figuratively to teach something. For example, in Daniel 4, Nebuchadnezzar has a dream, and the interpretation is that he's going to lose his kingdom. The third exception is when the language of the Bible is poetic. Think of some of the poems you may have read in English class. They were written in a symbolic way, using metaphors to connect ideas. And the Bible uses that same technique in its pages, like many of the Psalms or Proverbs. For example, in Psalm 1, where someone is likened to a tree planted by the waters. And our last exception is when context demands figurative language. For example, in Joel 2, God tells us He's going to show wonders, or tokens. And so we know that the next verses are going to be about these signs and symbols, and they're not to be taken literally. Remember, we read the Bible with the expectation of taking its words literally, but sometimes there's figurative language and symbols that are used to try and teach us memorable lessons. Using these 4 exceptions, we can look deeper into the Bible to find the many layers that God has left behind for us in His Word.